Holy Bible reading to request divine union, part 118. We continue with Job. We go to chapter 25. Job chapter 25. Bildad asks how man can be righteous. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, "What beginning or fear is his? He who makes all things in the highest heaven. For may no one imagine there is a respite for pirates, upon whom will there not be an ambush from him? How shall a mortal be righteous before the Lord? Or how may he who is born of a woman purify himself? If he orders the moon, then it does not shine, and the stars are not pure in his sight. But alas, man is putrid, and the son of a man a worm." Chapter 26. God is all-powerful. But Job answered and said, "To whom are you attached? Or whom are you going to help? Is it not he who has great strength, and whose arm is powerful? To whom have you given counsel? Is it not to him who has all wisdom? Or whom will you follow? Is it not one who has the greatest power? To whom have you spoken words, whose breath came forth from you? Will giants be born under the water, and those inhabiting them? Hades is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. He stretches out the north wind upon nothing. He hangs the earth on nothing. He binds up the water in his clouds, yet the cloud is not broken under it. He grasps the face of his throne and spreads his cloud over it. He encompasses the face of the water by an ordinance, until the end of light and darkness. The pillars of heaven were spread all over, and stood amazed at his rebuke. He checked the sea with his power, and by his understanding he wounded the sea monster. For the bars of heaven fear him, because he put to death the rebellious dragon by command. Behold, these are parts of his way, and we will hearken to the least of his words. But who knows when he will bring about the strength of his thunder?" Chapter 27. Job will hold fast to righteousness. Moreover, Job continued his speech and said, "As the Lord lives, who thus judges me, and the Almighty who embittered my soul, surely as long as my breath is in me, and the divine breath is in my nostrils, my lips will not speak lawless things, nor shall my soul practice wrongdoings. May it not be I who set forth the opinion that you are righteous. Until the day I die, I will not put away my integrity from me. I hold fast to my righteousness and am not letting it go, for I am not conscious in myself of having done anything wrong. Surely not, but rather may my enemies be as a destruction of the ungodly, and those who rise up against me, and the destruction as the destruction of lawless. For what hope is there for an ungodly man that he holds to it? Will he trust in the Lord and be saved? Will the Lord hear his prayer when distress comes upon him? Has he any confidence before him, or will the Lord hear him when he calls on him? But indeed I will tell you what is the hand of the Lord. I will not lie concerning what is with the Almighty. Behold, therefore, all of you know you are adding vanity to vanity. This is the portion from the Lord for the ungodly man, and the possession of oppressors shall come upon them from the Almighty. If their children be many, they will be for slaughter, and if they reach manhood, they will beg. Those who survive him shall be buried in death, and no one will have pity on their widows. Though he gather silver like dust and shall prepare gold like clay, the righteous will acquire these things, and the true ones will possess his wealth. His house goes away like a moth and like a spider's web. The rich man will lie down and not continue. He opens his eyes, but is no more. Pains happen to him like a flood, and thick darkness takes him away in the night. A burning wind will take him up, and he will be gone. And it will scatter him from his place, and it will blow against him and not spare. He will try in vain to flee from its force. It will strike him with its power, and whistle him from his place. Chapter 28. The richness of the earth. Indeed, there is a place for silver, from whence it comes, and a place for gold, from whence it is refined. Certainly iron is taken from the earth, and copper is hewn out like a stone. He set an order to darkness, and examines accurately every limit. A stone is darkness and the shadow of death. There is a narrow channel of the brook because of dust. So those who forget the right way are weakened because of mortal men. As for the earth, from it will come bread, but underneath it is turned up as by fire. Its stones are the source of sapphires, and its dust contains gold. There is a path no bird knows, nor has the eye of a vulture seen it. The sons of the arrogant have not trodden it, nor has a lion passed over it. He has stretched forth his hand to quarry stones, and has overturned the mountains by the roots, and has broken asunder the whirlpools of rivers. And my eye has seen every valued thing. He has uncovered the depths of the rivers, and has brought his power to light. Where is wisdom found? But where can wisdom be found? What is the place of understanding? Mortal man has not known its way, nor is it found among men. The deep said, "It is not in me," and the sea said, "It is not with me." One shall not give massive piles of gold instead of it, nor can silver be weighed in exchange for it. It cannot be compared with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or sapphire. Neither gold nor crystal will equal it, nor can it be exchanged for vessels of gold. No mention shall be made of coral and quartz, but you must hold up wisdom above the most valued things. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it, nor can it be compared with pure gold. For where, then, is wisdom found, and what is a place of understanding? It has been hidden from every man, and concealed from the birds of the sky. Destruction and death said, "We have heard about its fame." God has well established its way, and he knows its place. For he watches over the whole earth under heaven, knowing the things in the earth, all he has made, the weight of the wind and the measures of the water. When he made them, he numbered them, and made a way for the claps of thunder. Then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it and traced it out. He said to man, "Behold, the fear of God is wisdom, and to abstain from evils is understanding." Chapter 29. The glories of the past. Job continued further and said in his speech, "Who may put me in months past, as in the days when God protected me, as when his lamp shone upon my head, and by his light I walked in the darkness, as when I steadfastly pursued my ways, when God's visitation was over my house, as when I lived in abundance, and my children were around me, as when my road spread out with butter, and the mountains flowed with milk for me, as when I went early in the city and took my seat in the open square. The young men saw me and hid, and all the old men stood up, and great men refrained from talking, and put their finger to their mouth. Those who heard me blessed me, and their tongue stuck to their throat. The ear heard and blessed me, and the eye saw me and turned aside, for I saved the poor from the hand of the oppressor, and helped the orphan who had no helper. The blessing of the perishing man came upon me, and the widow's mouth blessed me. I put on righteousness and clothed myself with judgment like a robe. I was the eye of the blind and the foot of the lame. I was the father of the weak, and I searched out the cause I did not know. I broke the molars of the wrongdoers and plucked the soil from the midst of their teeth. Then I said, "My age shall continue as the stem of a palm tree, and I shall live a long while. My root was spread out to the waters, and the dew would settle on my harvest. My glory was fresh within me, and my bow prospered in its hand." Men heard and listened to me, and kept silence for my counsel. At my word they did not speak again, and they were very glad when I spoke to them. They waited for my speech as a thirsty earth for the rain. If I laughed at them, they did not believe it, and the light of my countenance did not fail. I chose a way for them, and sat as a ruler, and I dwelt as a king in the army, as one who comforts mourners. Chapter 30. The present seems futile, but now they laugh me to scorn, men younger than I, whose fathers I disdained, whom I did not deem worthy to be put with the dogs of my pastures. Indeed, what profit is the strength of their hands to me? For them the full term of the life was lost. In want and famine they are childless. Yesterday they fled to a waterless desert in anguish and misery. They are those who surround the noisy salt places, who have salty herbs for their food, and who are also considered worthless. and deficient of every good thing, and chew on the roots of trees because of their great hunger. Thieves have risen up against me, whose houses were holes in the rocks, who cry out among the rustling bushes and live under the wild shrubs. They are the sons of fools and dishonored men, whose name and fame were extinguished from the earth. But now I am their liar, and they have me as their byword. They detest me and keep their distance, and they do not hesitate to spit in my face. For he has opened his quiver and afflicted me. They have cast off restraint in my presence. They rose up against me by the right hands of their offspring, and they stretched out their foot and directed against me their paths of destruction. My paths are ruined, for they stripped off my garment. He shot me down with his arrows and used me as he wished. I am overwhelmed with pains. My pains are turned upon me. My hope is gone like the wind, and my salvation like a cloud. Even now my soul will be poured forth upon me, and the days of pain seize me. By night my bones are set on fire, and my sinews are broken up. With great force he took hold of my garment, and like the collar of my tunic he surrounded me. You regard me as clay in the earth, and my portion is with ashes. I cry out to you, but you do not answer me. They stood and observed me. You attacked me without mercy, and scourged me with a strong hand. You appointed pains for me, and cast me away from salvation. For I know death will destroy me, for the earth is the house of every mortal. Would that I might lay hands on myself, or at least ask another, and he would do it for me. Yet I wept over every man without strength, and groaned when I saw a man in distress. But while I held firmly to good things, days of evils happened to me instead. My stomach churns and will not be quiet, and days of poverty have come upon me. I go groaning without restraint. I stand up and cry out in the church. I have become a brother of sirens and a companion of sparrows. My skin has been greatly darkened, and my bones are burned by the heat. My lyre turned into mourning, and my song into my weeping. Chapter 31. Job sets forth his integrity. I have made a covenant with my eyes, and I will not think upon a virgin. What has God apportioned from above, and what is the inheritance of the Mighty One from on high? Is not destruction for the wrongdoer, and alienation for those who do lawlessness? Will he not see my way and count all my steps? If I have walked with scorners, or if my foot has hastened to deceit, may he weigh me therefore with a just scale, for he knows my integrity. If my foot has turned from the way, or if my heart has followed after my eyes, or if gifts have touched my hands, then may I sow and others eat. Yes, may I be uprooted on the earth. If my heart has followed after another man's wife, or if I have laid wait at her door, then also may my wife please another. And may my children be humiliated, for the rage of anger is uncontrollable in defiling another man's wife. For it is a fire burning on every side, and whomever it comes upon it destroys at the roots. It destroys at the roots. If I have despised the judgment of my servant or handmaid, when they judged me, what then will I do when the Lord brings me to trial and visits me? How shall I answer him? Did not he who made me in the womb make them? So we were fashioned in the same womb. But the weak did not miss whatever they happened to need. And I did not cause the eyes of the widow to fail. If I ate my morsel by myself, I did not share it with the orphan, but from my mouth, from my youth I nourished them as a father, and from my mother's womb I guided the widow. If I have neglected the naked as he was perishing, and did not clothe him, if the weak did not bless me, and if their shoulders were not warmed by the fleece of my lambs, if I raised my hand against the orphan, trusting that my strength was far superior to his, then let my shoulder fall from my collarbone. Let my arm be torn from its socket, for the fear of the Lord seized me, and I cannot endure his burden. If I have made gold my strength, or trusted the precious stone, if I have rejoiced because my wealth was great, and if I too laid my hand on countless treasures, or do I not see the shining sun eclipsed and the moon waning? For this does not depend upon them. If my heart has been secretly deceived, and if I have laid my hand upon my mouth and kissed it, then may this also be reckoned to me as the greatest lawlessness. For I have lied against the Lord Most High. If I too was glad at the fall of my enemies, and my heart said, Good, well done, then may my ear hear my curse, and may I be a byword among my people in my affliction. If my handmaids have often said, Who may give us his meat to be satisfied? But I was very kind, for the stranger did not spend the night outside, and my door was open to everyone who came. If I sinned involuntarily, then covering my sin, for I did not stand in awe of great multitude, so as not to confess before them, and if I permitted a poor man to go out of my door with an empty bosom, who may listen to me? And if I had not feared the hand of the Lord, and as the document I had against someone, I would place it as a crown on my shoulder and read it. And if I did not tear it up and return it, having taken nothing from the debtor, if at any time the land groaned against me, and its furrows wept together, if I have eaten its strength alone without paying, or if I also grieved the soul of the owner of the land, by casting him out, then may the nettle come to me instead of wheat, and bramble instead of barley. Thus Job ceased speaking. Chapter 32. Elihu is angered at Job and his friends. Job's 3 friends also ceased answering him, for he was righteous before them. Then Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite, of the family of Ram, of the country of Ositis, became furious, and he was very angry with Job because he declared himself to be righteous before the Lord. He was also very angry with Job's 3 friends because they found no answer to Job, and yet affirmed he was an ungodly man. Now because they were years older than he, Elihu waited to speak to Job. So when Elihu saw there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, his wrath was aroused. So Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite answered and said, I am young in years, and you are the elder. Therefore I was silent, and dared not declare my knowledge to you. I said, It is not time that speaks. Though in many years men know wisdom, but there is a spirit in mortals, and the breath of the Almighty is that which teaches them. The long-lived are not always wise, nor do the old men always know judgment. Therefore I say, Listen to me. I also will declare what I know. Pay close attention to my words, for I will speak in your hearing while you examine my words, and until I shall understand you. So behold, not one of you answered Job in argument, lest you say, We have found wisdom added to the Lord, but you permitted a man to speak such words. They were dismayed and answered no more. They made their words obsolete. I waited, for they did not speak, because they stood still, they did not answer. Then Elihu continued and said, Again I will speak, for I am full of words. The spirit within my stomach is killing me. Instead, my stomach is like a wineskin of sweet new wine, bound up and ready to burst, or like the blowpipe of a coppersmith ready to bellow. I will speak that I may find relief in opening my lips. I will not feel shame before any man, neither indeed will I feel shame before any mortal, for I do not know how to flatter persons, or else the moths would eat me. Chapter 33. Elihu claims he speaks for God. Nevertheless, hear my words, Job, and pay close attention to what I say. For behold, I have opened my mouth, and my tongue has spoken. By my words my heart shall be found pure, and the understanding of my lips will think pure thoughts. The divine Spirit has made me, and the breath of the Almighty is that which teaches me. Give me an answer to these things if you can. Endure and stand firm against me, and I against you. You and I are formed out of the clay, thus we have been formed out of the same substance. My fear will not distract you, neither shall my hand be heavy on you. However, you said in my hearing, I heard the voice of your words. For you say, I am pure, for I have not sinned. I am blameless, for I have not acted lawlessly. Yet he has found a charge against me. He has counted me as his enemy, and he has put my feet in the stocks, and he watches all my paths. For how can you say I am righteous, yet he has not listened to me? For he that is above mortals is eternal. But you say, Why has he not heard every word of my cause? For when the Lord speaks once or another time in a dream, or in a meditation of the night, as when dreadful fear falls upon men, while slumbering on their bed, then he unveils the hearts of men and frightens them with such fearful visions, so as to turn man from his wrongdoing. Thus he delivers his body from a fall. He keeps back his soul from death and does not allow him to fall in war. Again, he also chastens him with sickness on his bed, and the multitude of his bones grow numb. He is not able to receive any food, though his soul may long for it, until his flesh wastes away and he shows his bones bare. His soul also draws near to death, and his life to Hades. If there are 1,000 death-bringing messengers, none of them shall wound him. If he proposes to his heart to turn to the Lord, and declares to man his fault and shows his folly, he will support him, that he might not fall into death. And he will renew his body like fresh plaster on the wall, and fill his bones with marrow, and will make his flesh young like a child's, and restore him among men in full manhood. He shall pray to the Lord, and his prayer shall be accepted. He shall come to prayer with an innocent face, and with an utterance of thanksgiving. For he will restore righteousness to man, even though a man shall blame himself, saying, I am to blame because of what I did, yet he has not examined my guilt to the extent of my wrongful unworthiness. Save my soul from going down to corruption, so my life shall see the light. Behold, all these things the Mighty One works 3 ways with a man, but he has delivered my soul from death, that my life may praise him in the light. Give ear, Job, listen to me. Hold your peace, and I will speak. If you have anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I desire you to be declared as righteous. If not, listen to me. Hold your peace, and I will teach you wisdom. Chapter 34. Elihu proclaims God's justice. Elihu continued and said, Hear me, O wise men who are present, and pay close attention to what is good, for the ear tests words as the palate tastes food. Let us choose judgment for ourselves, and let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am righteous, and the Lord has taken away my judgment. But he spoke untruth in my judgment when he said, My wound is severe, though I am without wrongdoing. What man is like Job, who drinks scorn like water? For he says, I have not sinned, nor committed ungodliness, nor had anything in common with the workers of the lawlessness, so as to walk with ungodly men. For you should not say, There shall be no visitation of a man, whereas there is a visitation on him from the Lord. Therefore listen to me, you wise in heart. May it be far from me to act in an ungodly way before the Lord, and to pervert righteousness before the Almighty. Yes, he renders to a man as each one of them does, and in a man's path he will find him. Do you think the Lord will do wrong, or will the Almighty who made the earth pervert judgment? Who is he who created everything under heaven and all things therein? If he should wish to hold and restrain his breath within himself, all flesh would die altogether, and every mortal would return to the ground from which he was formed. Take heed to this, lest he warn you. Pay close attention to the voice of his words. Behold, then, the one who hates lawless things and destroys the evil ones. He is forever righteous. He is ungodly who says to a king, You act contrary to the law, and to rulers, O most ungodly one, such a man is not ashamed before the face of an honorable man, nor does he know how to give honor to the great, so as to show proper respect. But it will prove to be in vain for them to cry out and beg in favor of a man, for they dealt unlawfully when they turned aside the weak. For he is the observer of the work of man, and nothing of what they do escapes him. There is no place for the workers of lawlessness to hide themselves. He need not further consider a man, for the Lord gazes upon all men. He comprehends unsearchable things, glorious also and extraordinary things without number. He discloses their works, and he will overthrow them in the night, and they will be brought low. He extinguishes the ungodly, for they are visible before him, because they turned aside from the law of God, and would not regard his ordinances, so as to bring before him the cry of the needy. For he will hear the cry of the poor. He will provide quietness, and who shall condemn him? And he will hide his face, and who shall see him? Whether it be done against a nation or a man jointly, to cause a hypocrite to be king, because of the discontent of the people. For there is one who says to the Mighty One, I have received blessings I will not take in pledge. I will see apart from myself, Show me if I have done unrighteousness, and I will do so no more. He will not take vengeance for it from you, because you failed to listen to your conscience. For you will choose, and not I. Therefore speak what you know. Elihu rebukes Job sternly. For this reason wise men in heart shall say this, and a wise man listens to my word, but Job has spoken without understanding, and his words are without knowledge. But learn, Job, that no longer answer like that of foolish men, that we add not to our sins, for lawlessness will be counted against us if we speak many words against the Lord. Chapter 35. Elihu continued, saying, What is this you consider as judgment? Who are you to say I am righteous before the Lord? Or will you say, What did I do if I have sinned? I will answer you and your 3 friends. Look up to the heavens and see, and observe the cloud as higher than you. If you have sinned, what will you do? If you have acted very lawlessly, what can you do? Since therefore you are righteous, what will you give him? Or what did he receive from your hand? Your ungodliness may affect a man such as you, or your righteousness the Son of Man. Those who are slandered by a multitude will cry out. They will cry out for help because of the strength of the many. But no one says, Where is the God who made me, who appoints the night watchers, who distinguishes me from the 4-footed animals of the earth, and from the birds of heaven? There they will cry out, but no one answers, because of the insolence of evil men, for the Lord does not desire to look on wrongdoing. For he, the Almighty, is the observer of those who perform lawless deeds, but he will save me. Decide before him if you can praise him as it is now possible. But now he is not visiting his wrath, nor even taking notice of very much transgression. Yet Job opens his mouth in vain. In ignorance he burdens us with words. Chapter 36. Elihu upholds God's goodness. Elihu also proceeded and said, Wait for me yet a little while, that I may teach you, for there is yet more for me to say. I will gather my knowledge from afar, and truly speak of righteousness in my works. You are not hearing unjust words without good reason. But know that the Lord, who is mighty in strength of heart, does not cast off an innocent man. He will not give life to the ungodly, but he will give judgment to the poor. He will not turn away from the righteous, but will set them on the throne with kings. For he will lift them in triumph, and they will be exalted. But if they are bound in fetters, they shall be held in the cords of poverty. He will tell them their works and their transgressions. For such will act with violence. He also will hear the righteous, and he said, They will turn from wrongdoing, if they give ear and serve him. They shall spend their days in good things, and their years in dignity. But he does not save the ungodly, because they are not willing to know the Lord, and because they refuse to listen when they were admonished. For the hypocrites in heart will marshal anger against themselves, and they will not cry for help because he has bound them. Therefore may their soul die in youth, and their life be wounded by messengers of death, because they afflicted the weak and helpless, and he will make manifest the judgment of the gentle. Besides, he deceived you by the mouth of the enemy. There is an abyss and a pouring over beneath it, and your table descended full of fatness. Judgment shall not fall from the righteous. Judgment shall not fail from the righteous. But there shall be anger against the ungodly, because of the ungodliness of the gifts they received for wrongdoings. Let not your heart willingly turn you aside from the petition of the weak who are in distress. Do not lure away all the mighty men at night, so the people should go up instead of them. But guard yourself lest you do what is wrong, for you chose this because of poverty. Behold, the mighty one shall prevail by his strength. Who is so powerful as he? Who is he who examines his works, or who can say he has done unjustly? God's works are great. Remember his works are great, because of which men began to exist. Everyone has seen for himself how many mortals are wounded. Behold, the mighty one is great, and we do not know him. The number of his years is also endless, for he numbers the drops of rain, and they shall be poured out in rain to form a cloud. The ancient clouds shall drop down and overshadow innumerable mortals. He has fixed a time for cattle, and they know the appointed time for their rest. Yet your mind is not astonished by these things, nor does your heart leap out from your body, for one should perceive the outspreading of a cloud and the measure of his tabernacle. Behold, he stretches his bow against him and covers the bottom of the sea. For by these he will judge the people. He will give food to him who has strength. He has hidden light in his hand and given order to the cloud by which it is diverted. The Lord will proclaim it to his friend, but there is also a portent for unrighteousness. 37. At this also my heart was troubled and flows from its place. Listen attentively to the thunder of the Lord's wrath and the discourse coming from his mouth. His dominance is under the whole heaven, and his light to the ends of the earth. Behind him a voice will cry aloud. He will thunder with his voice of outrage, and he will not change them when his voice is heard. The mighty one will thunder marvelously with his voice, for he does great things we cannot comprehend. For he commands the snow fall upon the earth, and likewise there is the winter, the rain and the winter storms of his might. He seals up the hand of every man, that everyone may know his weakness. The wild animals go into their shelters and are at rest in their lairs. From the secret chambers comes the whirlwind, and cold from the mountain tops. But the breath of the mighty one he will send. By the breath of the mighty one he will send frost, and he freezes the waters as he wishes. And when the cloud obscures what he chooses, his light will disperse the cloud. He will swirl the encircled clouds by his governance and perform all their works, moving them to do whatever he commands. This has been appointed by him on the earth, whether for correction or for his earth, or if he shall find him an object for mercy. Pay close attention to this, O Job. Stand still and consider the power of the Lord. We know that God has appointed his works, having made light out of darkness. He knows the division of the clouds and the violent falls of evil men. But your robe is warm, and there is quiet upon the land. Will you establish with him the foundations for the ancient heavens? They are strong like a molten mirror. What is this to you? Teach me what we will say to him, and let us see speaking many words. Have I a book or scribe by me that I may stand and put man to silence? But the light is not visible to all. It shines far off in the ancient heavens, as that which is from him in the clouds. From the north come the clouds shining like gold. In these great things are the glory and honor of the Almighty. We do not find another like him in his strength. Do you not think he who judges righteousness listens? Therefore men shall fear him, and the wise in heart shall fear him. Chapter 38. Now the Lord speaks to Job. After Elihu had ceased from speaking, then the Lord spoke to Job out of the whirlwind and clouds, saying, Who is this who hides counsel from me, and holds words in his heart, and thinks to conceal them from me? Gird your waist like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. The majestic Creator. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding, who determined its measurements? Surely you know, or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundations fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone when the stars were made? And all my angels praised me in a loud voice. I shut up the sea with doors. When it burst forth and issued from the womb, I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in mist. I fixed my limit for it and set bars and doors. I said, This far you may come, but no further, and here your waves must stop. Did I order the morning star in your time? Did I order the morning light in your time? And did the morning star see its appointed place, to lay hold of the ends of the earth, and to shake the ungodly out of it? Or did you take clay of the ground and form a living creature, and set it with the power of speech upon the earth? Have you removed light from the ungodly and crushed the arm of the arrogant? Have you come upon the fountain of the sea and walked in the tracks of the deep? Do the gates of death open to you for fear? And did the doorkeepers of Hades quake when they saw you? Have you been instructed in the breadth of the earth under heaven? Tell me now, what is the extent of it? In what kind of land does the light dwell? And what kind is the place of darkness. If you would bring me to their boundaries, and also if you understand their paths, then I know you were born at that time, and the number of your years is great. Have you come upon the storehouses of snow? Have you seen the storehouses of hail? Are they stored for you against the time of your enemies, for the day of wars and battles? From where does the frost proceed? From where does the south wind scatter over the earth? Who prepares a course for the violent rain, or the path for the thunders? Who causes it to rain on the land where there is no man, or in an uninhabited wilderness where there is not a man in it, to satisfy the untrodden and uninhabited land, and cause it to spring forth a crop of tender grass? Who is the rain's father, and who has begotten the drops of dew? From whose womb come the ice? And who has given birth to the frost in heaven, which descends like flowing water? Who made firm the face of the abyss? Do you understand the band of the Pleiades? And have you opened the fence of Orion? Will you open up Mazzaroth in its season, and the evening star with its rays? Will you guide them? Do you know the movements of heaven, or the events which take place together under heaven? Will you call a cloud with your voice, and will it obey you with a violent shower of much rain? Can you send out lightnings, and shall they go? Shall they say to you, what do you want? Who has given to women wisdom in weaving, or knowledge of embroidery? Who can number the clouds by wisdom, and who can bow heaven down to earth? For it is spread like a cloud of dust, and I have joined it together as one hewn stone to another. Will you hunt prey for the lions, or satisfy the lives of the serpents? They fear in their dens, and live in the forests and lie in wait. Who provides food for the raven? For its young ones wander and cry to the Lord in search of food. Chapter 39. Do you know the time when the wild rock goats bear young, and do you mark when the deer gives birth? Do you number the full months of childbearing, and have you relieved their pangs? Have you reared their young without fear, and have you set away their pangs? Their young ones will break forth, and they will be multiplied with offspring. They depart and do not return. Who set the wild donkey free? Who loosed his bonds? I made the wilderness his dwelling, and the salt lands his house. He scorns the great multitude of the city, and does not heed the blame of the tax collector. He will survey the mountains as his pasture, and he seeks out every green thing. Will the wild ox be willing to serve you? Will he bed by your manger? Can you bind his yoke with ropes, or will he plow furrows for you in the field? Do you trust him because his strength is great, or will you commit your works to him? Will you trust him to bring home your seed and gather it to your threshing floor? The wings of the falcon wave proudly, but are her wings the pinions like the kindly storks? For the falcon leaves her eggs on the ground and warms them in the dust. She has forgotten that a foot will scatter them, or that wild animals will trample them. She hardens herself against her young ones as though they were not hers. She labors in vain without concern, because God deprived her of wisdom and did not endow her with understanding. When she lifts herself on high, she scorns the horse and its rider. Have you given the horse strength? Have you clothed his neck with a mane? Have you put on him a suit of armor and made his breast glorious with courage? He paws exultingly in the valley and goes forth with strength into the plain. He mocks at battle when he sees it, nor does he turn back from the sword. The bow and the sword resound against him, and his rage would destroy the earth. He will not believe until a trumpet sounds. For at the blast of the trumpet he says, "Good, well done." He smells the battle from afar with his leaping and shouting. Does the hawk remain steady at your understanding, and spread his rigid wings looking towards the south? Does the eagle mount up to your command, and the vulture remain sitting over its nest on the crag of hidden rock? From there it spies out the prey, its eyes observe from afar, its young ones roll themselves in blood, and where the slain are, immediately they are found. Chapter 40. Moreover, the Lord God answered Job and said, Will anyone pervert judgment with his mighty one? Who will rebuke God? He who rebukes God will answer for it. Job responds. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Why am I still judged and admonished, even if I rebuke the Lord, hear such things, and am at nothing? But what answer will I give to these things? I will put my hand over my mouth. I have spoken once, I will not do so a second time. The Lord calls Job to account. The Lord yet answered Job out of the cloud and said, No, rather, gird up your waist like a man, for I will question you, and you shall answer me. Do you not reject my judgment? Do you think I have dealt with you in any other way than might appear to you to be righteous? Have you an arm like the Lord's, or can you thunder with a voice like his? Assume now majesty and power, and clothe yourself with glory and honor. Send forth messengers with wrath, and humble every insolent man. Extinguish the arrogant man, and consume at once the ungodly. Hide them together in the earth, and fill their faces with disgrace. Then I also will admit that your own right hand can save you. But look now at the wild animals with you, and eat grass like oxen. Behold now, his strength is in his loins, and his power is in the center of his stomach. He sets up his tail like a cypress. His nerves are tightly knit. His ribs are like ribs of bronze, and his backbone like bars of iron. This is the ruler of the Lord's creation, made to be mocked at by his angels. When he goes up to a rough mountain, he causes joy to be to the four-footed animals in Tartarus. He lies under trees of every kind. Alongside the papyrus and reed and bulrush, the great trees shade him with their branches. So do the branches of the willow. If there should be a flood, he will not notice it. He is confident through the Jordan, though the Jordan beats his mouth, though he takes it in his eyes, or one pierces his nose with a snare. You will catch the serpent with a hook and put a halter. Will you catch the serpent with a hook and put a halter around his nose? Or will you fasten a ring in the nose or pierce his lip with a hook? Will he speak to you in prayer softly with the voice of a suppliant? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him as a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you cage him as a sparrow for a child? Do the nations feed upon him? Will they apportion him among the nations of the Phoenicians? All the ships come together would not be able to bear the mere skin of his tail, or carry his head with fishing vessels. Once you lay your hand on him, remembering the battle waged by his mouth, let it not be done again. Chapter 41. Have you not seen him? Have you not wondered at what has been said of him? Do you not fear because I am prepared? Who then is able to stand against me? Who will stand against me and endure? Since everything under heaven is mine, I will not be silent because of him, though because of his power one shall pity his antagonist. Who will remove his outer coat? Who may enter within the fold of his breastplate? And who will open the doors of his face? With his terrible teeth all around, his entrails are as brazen plates, and the texture of his skin as a simrite stone. One part clings to another, so no air comes between them. A man will be joined to his brother, they stick together and cannot be parted. He sneezes, flash forth light, and his eyes are like the appearance of the morning star. Out of his mouth go burning lights sparked with fire, sparks of fire shoot out, smokes go out of his nostrils as from a boiling pot with fire of coals. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. Strength dwells in his neck, and destruction runs before him. The muscles of his body are joined together. They are firm on him and cannot be moved. His heart is as hard as stone, and it stands like an unyielding anvil. When he turns, he is a terror, and the four-footed wild animals which lean upon the earth, though the sword reaches him, it cannot avail. Nor does spear or javelin. He regards iron as straw, and bronze as rotten wood. The arrow cannot wound him. The sling stone becomes like grass to him. Hammers are regarded as straw, and he laughs at the threat of javelins. His bed is like sharp skewers, and all the gold of the sea under him is like a great amount of clay. He makes the deep boil like a brazen pot, and regards the sea like a pot of ointment. The lower part of the deep is as a captive. He reckons the deep as his walking range. On earth there is nothing like him. He was made to be mocked at by my angels, and beholds every high thing. He is king over all that are in the waters. Chapter 42. Job confesses and repentance. Job's confession and repentance. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know you can do all things, and nothing is impossible for you. For who is he who hides counsel from you, who keeps back his words, and thinks to hide them from you? Who will tell me that I knew not, things too great and wonderful which I did not know? But hear me, O Lord, that I also may speak. I will ask you, and please teach me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes sees you. Therefore I depreciate myself and I waste away. I regard myself as dust and ashes. The Lord rebukes and redeems Job's friends. So it was after the Lord had spoken these words to Job that the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, You have sinned, you and your two friends, for you have not spoken before me what is true, as my servant Job has. Now therefore take for yourselves 7 bulls and 7 rams, go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you, for I will only accept him, but for his sake I would have destroyed you, because you have not spoken what is true regarding my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did as the Lord commanded them, and he redeemed their sin for Job's sake. Job's wealth is restored. Then the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends, and he forgave their sin, but the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers and all his sisters heard about everything that happened to him, and they came to him. So did all who knew him from the first. They ate food and drank with him and comforted him, and they wondered at all the Lord brought upon him. Each one gave him a lamb and 4 drachmas weight of uncoined gold. Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he named the first Day, the second Cassia, and the third Amalthea's horn. And all the land there were found no women so beautiful as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this affliction, Job lived 170 years, and all the years he lived were 248. And Job saw his children and grandchildren for 4 generations. So Job died, old and full of days. It is written that he will rise with those whom the Lord resurrects. This man is described in the Syriac book as living in the land of Ositis, on the border of Edom and Arabia. Previously his name was Jobab. He took an Arabian wife and begot a son named Enon, but he himself was the son of his father Zareh, one of the sons of Esau, and of his mother Bosora. Thus he was the 5th son from Abraham. Now these were the kings who reigned in Edom, over which country he also ruled. First there was Balak, the son of Beor, and the name of the city was Danabah. But after Balak there was Jobab, who is called Job. After him there was Asom, who was ruler out of the country of Teman. After him there was Adad, the son of Barad, who destroyed Midian in the plain of Moab, and the name of the city was Gethaim. Now his friends who came to him were Eliphaz of the children of Esau, king of the Temanites, Bildad, ruler of the Shuhites, and Zophar, king of the Minians. And we'll continue with Proverbs in the next reading of the Old Testament. And now we'll go to chapter 7 of Revelation. Angels visit earth. After these days I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, Do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed. 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel were sealed. Sealing God's servants. Of the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Simeon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Issachar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Joseph, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed. Final ingathering and worship. After these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, people, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb. All the angels stood around the throne, and the elders and the 4 living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne, and worshipped God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom, thanksgiving and honor and power and might, be to our God forever and ever. Amen. Then one of the elders answered, saying to me, Who are these arrayed in white robes, and where did they come from? And I said to him, Sir, you know. So he said to me, These are the ones who come out of the great tribulation and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he who sits on the throne will dwell among them. They shall neither hunger any more, nor thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them any more, nor any heat. For the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them, and lead them to living fountains of waters, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. And we'll continue with the next part tomorrow. God bless you, and thank you for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.